Hello and welcome everybody to this special episode of Return on Wellness. We are here on location at Canyon Ranch, joined on this segment by Sean. Sean, give everyone your full name and your official title here at Canyon
Sure.
Ranch.
My name is Sean Milburn, and I am the general manager here at Canyon Ranch Woodside.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your hospitality. Thank you for having us. I know we've tried to be as minimal in disruption as possible. So thank you for giving us permission to run around and film stuff.
It's been great. The team is excited you guys are here, and I know our CEO yesterday was excited to meet you guys and learn all about what you're doing.
That was a phenomenal chance encounter.
Yes, yeah.
And he lives in Austin.
I know. What are
So
the chances, right?
when they do their soft opening, hopefully we can go check it out.
Absolutely. No, it's going to be the most extraordinary wellness resort probably in the world when they're finished.
That is a very grand statement, and I'm absolutely here for it.
I believe it.
Okay, what I'd love to do is I'd love to jump in a little bit about when we talked prior to coming on site. We talked a little bit about your wellness journey because I think if you're going to be the GM here at a property like this, um, you have to have a reason to be here. There has to be some intentionality. A lot of times we talk about people can't just throw a 6 a.m. yoga session in an agenda and say, okay, wellness is done because it's so much more than that. So I'd love if you would share with the viewers what your background has been and your a little bit of your wellness journey so that they understand who's helping to ensure that this property is thorough.
Absolutely. Well, I've been in hotels as a GM actually for over 20 years, but most of them have been large corporate type Embassy Suites and Marriott properties. About 7 years ago, I got the opportunity to be the GM at Suncadia Resort up in Washington State, 6,000 acre resort where we had trees and nature everywhere, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with just doing what I was doing as far as a hospitality manager, but out in nature.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
Did it almost feel, I don't want to say easier, but easier like when you were, I know I moved recently and when I drive home, part of my drive is kind of over a little hill, and when I come over this hill and it looks out into like this greenery and a lake, it just the decompression is immediate. So did you feel like it was almost easier to be more hospitable in an environment like that?
Yeah, it takes you right into the present moment immediately because you're around um, what we're supposed to be around. The woods and nature and animals, and we had a herd of elk that we took care of.
Amazing.
We had our own large culinary garden. We grew a lot of our own vegetables. Just you come over that hill or you come through that windy pine forest, and you just you're taken to a better place than a box hotel with 300 rooms all compacted into meeting rooms, etc. It's just we were able to do a lot more with our guests and groups, and they were also able to be taken to that transcendent place. So it was just it was a really profound moment for me. I was only there for about a year and a half. We missed the Bay Area, so we came back to California, born and raised here, and
Oh,
my family wanted to be.
me too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I'm born and raised in San Jose and Campbell.
San Luis Obispo.
Yeah, it's kind of Bay
Yeah,
Area.
Central Coast more.
I have a bunch of friends who live in Slough, so it's yeah.
It's my family's still down there. My sister lives in Sacramento as a teacher, and
Nice.
brother's a teacher in Hayward, so we're all still around. It's just been California Bay Area, especially, has been home to us for a long time.
Yeah.
Um, Decided to come back to the Bay Area. Ended up in the city actually at Le Meridian for a while, and
I know it. I've
yeah,
stayed there.
as you know, a very busy corporate hotel again. So went back the other way, swung, and felt that it wasn't the right move, um, and got back into Embassy Suites because there was one in San Rafael that was about to undergo a huge renovation.
Oh yeah. Okay.
and we were able to create our own food and beverage experiences, create another culinary farm on property, which was the most unique embassy suites in the country after we were finished.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
Did, so that one actually had like land. I mean, normally you
yeah,
think of these box hotels, you don't think there's any. The property is surrounding it is usually just parking lot.
yeah. We had a parking lot, but we had an area that was kind of covered with grass that we turned into a 4,000 square foot farm.
That's amazing.
And I just got sent pictures of their one of their first events out there today, so it's pretty awesome.
Nice.
Um,
And then you came from there to here.
there to here, and a big part of that journey was we bought a RV, and we decided to start going camping a lot because I missed, I was in the hotel, still in the corporate world, but I missed this so much, and I really wanted to be in it as much as possible. So we first started with a travel trailer, and then got into the RVs and started going to Mount Shasta every year
Oh,
at least once.
are we talking like a 53-foot Prevo
No, no,
RV
no, no.
or
It's
not yet?
no, not yet. It's a it's a regular gas V10,
Okay,
but
like the
Forest
cab over.
Forest River
Okay,
FR3. Yeah. So it was good for our kids who were still teens, still are teens, and but now it's mostly my wife and I who like to go up there. And I don't know if you've been to Mount Shasta, but it's a pretty very spiritual place.
yeah, it's holy ground for the Native
It
Americans.
is, and we've been there and done a lot of meditation up there, and I really wanted to be in that for my career again. I was looking around for resorts to be involved with, mountain resorts especially. And a good friend of mine who I worked with both at Suncadia and I was GM at the Marriott in Napa as well for a while.
Oh, okay.
And he ended up with Canyon Ranch and told me all about the company. His name's Werner. He's now, as of this week, promoted to vice president of resort operations. He told me all about this company, and one thing led to another, and I became the GM here in early July.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's exciting. Was there any particular element that they hear that really drew you to it? I mean, obviously, this property is in the redwoods. This is a real background. This isn't fake, by the way. This is like there's no green screen. There's no
This is our
this isn't
office.
Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure the first time you came here, I mean, was it the property that spoke to you? Was it management? Was it executives? Was it a mixture of the whole thing?
It was the quiet. It was the return to just being in the moment with the trees, really. I know it sounds a little odd, but these trees speak to you in a really profound way, especially if you're right next to one of the redwoods and you touch it. You can feel the energy, and it just takes you away from all that complication that makes life complicated.
Yeah, I will say I've been fortunate enough to get to spend last night in one of the tree houses,
Good.
and the treehouse rooms don't have any blinds or window shades, which also seems intimidating. But you also can't see anything but trees, and so no one can see in your room either, for what it's worth. Um, but just waking up this morning, I I woke up. The sun wasn't quite up yet, but it had started to get bright, and I sat in bed and I had my cup of coffee before I went to work out, and I just stared. There's a TV in the room. I have yet to turn the TV on, which I feel like is appropriate. And I just watched it get brighter and I listened to the birds. It was 38 degrees, so I didn't open the door all the way, but it was just, it's so simple yet so overlooked.
You're in the canopy of the forest in those tree houses, literally. I mean, the floor of the forest is 20 to 30 feet down from your balcony, and you're one. The birds actually fly right at your eye level by you, the woodpeckers and the blue jays, and it's definitely a great way to wake up in the morning.
Okay, so we've been talking about wellness for individuals and why you've enjoyed it so much. But what kind of things have you seen happen with groups that come on site, and why do you think wellness is so important for groups and makes such a lasting impact?
I think the members of these groups a lot of times are coming from the same company or organization. They're coming here for a retreat. And then what the individuals are allowed to do is relax and come to a place of presence and enjoy themselves in the forest. And then a lot of those complications and spirals and all those things that tighten us up melt away. And then they're able to interact with each other on a more productive basis. They become able to connect with each other. And then their businesses or their organizations become more effective because of it. I've seen that happen. Whereas on the arrival day, they're a little bit standoffish from each other. They're a little bit of inhibition. And then on day two, after they've gone through, they've enjoyed our food, which is world class. They've enjoyed some programming, maybe some fitness classes with David, or maybe they've done some creative expression classes with Yvonne or Ben. They have laughed together. They've seen what each other can do from a creative perspective. They've experienced spiritual wellness classes or fireside chats with Jean Marie. They've seen each other in a different way. And then they start interacting in a different way. And you can tell when they leave that things are going to be different when they get back to the office.
Do you? I'm just going to wildly speculate here. This is a lot of what we talk about is evidence based and science backed and things of that nature. But I'm going to pontificate for a second, and I have a feeling you're probably going to agree with me. But do you think when people come here and they feel and experience things they aren't used to, and they take part in these shared experiences that are outside their comfort zone, that all of a sudden they start kind of just opening themselves up to what other opportunities there are. And then by being with their teammates, that in turn helps them create and foster these relationships that might otherwise not get the chance.
Absolutely. You hit it on the head. They're a lot of times unable to do that in the environment that they're always in together because they're too caught up in the everyday minutia of everything. So when they come up here, they're able to allow those restrictions to float away or melt away, and it takes them to a different level of collaboration.
Collaboration happens when people stop seeing each other as just coworkers and start seeing each other as people because they're human. Here, when everyone is experiencing something new, they're they're on a level playing field. Maybe there's probably someone who's into wellness, which is what brought them here to begin with. But everyone else though is like, what are we doing? What are we going to go play with crystals? And there's the naysayers, and then they come and they experience it, and they go, oh, this is something different. And then they're no longer just these people that see each other in the office and are taskmasters or whatever. Everyone's human.
That's exactly right. They see each other as individuals and not as part of a company. And they get into the flow. Talk about that a lot, where they see each other just in the moment, and it allows them to collaborate on a different level. For sure. I agree with you.
Love that. You offer a wide variety of programs. You alluded to some of them earlier. I'm curious if there's any of them that you've seen, or you can even up level it if you just kind of in general, if there's types of programs that you've seen that have really impacted a group the most. And the reason I ask about that is because um, while this property only has 38 rooms, someone might have a group of 100 that they want to do something with, and they won't fit here, unfortunately. But what kind of things have you seen? What kind of programs make the most impact on groups that really create those bonds and bring people together, like you're talking about?
I think one of the most extraordinary ones here is a walk through our forest on site. We have two trails. One of them's just about 2/3 of a mile, and it takes you all the way down into the forest. And you feel the energy of the forest. There's some special places down there. And as a group, they're walking down the stairs together through the switchbacks, admiring and experiencing the quiet together. There's a Buddha carved out of redwood at the bottom. There's a vortex along the way, and they experience these these wondrous things together. And I see when they start at the void, which is the sculpture at the beginning of the trail, and then when they come back up the stairs, they're different. It's a different feeling. When they first go down, they're kind of wary. When they come back up, they're laughing. That's one of the main, I think, spiritual walks through the redwoods that I've seen have a profound effect on groups. I also see folks that go into these fireside chats that we have in our loft, groups that go up there and spend time with Jean Marie. Um, and then she has a plethora of different conversations that she can have with your group. Um, I've seen that change the demeanor in a group as well. So they'll go in a little apprehensive, and then when they come out, um, you can tell that the energy is shifted and that they're in a place of camaraderie that they weren't before.
Yeah, I have no doubt. We sat in on her opening session last night, and her energy is just, I don't know what it is about her. Like, she is so calming and so energetic all at once that she's really a special human being.
We're very lucky to have her here. She is extraordinary. She can do everything from talks like that to sound baths to using all sorts of musical instruments to walking people through the forest. It's I've never met anyone like her.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's great is um, the fact that if somebody has a group on the weekends, all the programming is included, right?
It is. Yeah.
And so you don't even have to think about what to do. You can just literally time your meetings in between when the programming is happening if you're here for that. I didn't realize it before we got here that this was essentially an all-inclusive resort because we came to lunch, we got here around noon, sat down, had lunch, and I was like, I can't find the prices on anything. Finally, someone was like, everything's included. And I was like, oh, that's really unique in the Bay Area. I don't know any other property that is all inclusive.
You get everything with staying with us, and you can have as much food as you like too.
Depending on what your macros are.
Yeah, no, and we're very particular about that. So all of our food has very specific nutritional content, macros. The macronutrients are very specific, but if you feel like having two or three of those, you can have two or three of those. And often I have two or three of those.
Yeah. Well, it's hard not to because some of
Food's amazing.
the food is incredible. Chad was chef already, and it was just,
He's another extraordinary individual.
yeah,
He's very special.
yeah.
And George is one of the top chefs in the Bay Area. We're very lucky to have him here too, as well. The creative side that comes out of him, even with macronutrient, not restrictions, but
Constraints, maybe.
guidelines
Yeah.
that we adhere to as a Canyon Ranch property. I mean, I've never seen anyone be able to be that creative within that framework.
I had waffles for breakfast this morning.
I know.
Like, and I did not feel bad about it. I took a picture of it. I texted it to someone, and I said, "Guess how many grams of protein are in these waffles?"
Right. Yeah.
And they're like, "None." And I was like, "No, there was like 24 in waffles." Yeah. And then he talked. I talked to him, and he talked about the protein powder he used, and like yeah, that was a great conversation. So I applaud you. You guys have a great team here. The stay has been amazing. We actually get one more full day here.
Good.
To really soak everything in, and even just being on property, like you said, you feel it just being in this space. And you're familiar, I'm sure, with the term forest bathing.
Oh yeah.
So I'm sure that that walk kind of does that. It really just brings people to have to be present in the moment.
That's what it's all about. Say this whole property is you feel like you're bathing in the forest. It's magical for sure. Once you come through those gates and they close behind you, you feel like you're in a whole different world. And we really hope that as many people as possible can come here and experience it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you again for having us.
Thank you.
Come check it out.